What type of pasta do you use when coloring the kitchen?
I use generally like a linguine pasta, shade purpley, kind of gray. Usually goes well with the artichoke dip.
Nice. Do you use pool filters when you're bringing the kids to work?
Yeah, I do. I generally put them in the back seat of my car. Sometimes I'll let them kind of fly out the window on like a clothesline.
Do you ever sip pillow feathers in the middle of the restaurant?
Nope. That is frowned upon. I think it's against my religion.
Ah. What about the philosophies that surround your Beetlejuice debut?
I don't want to talk about that one.
Oh, okay. And one more, and then you can do me. What kind of pots and pans were used during the digging of the Alamo?
They were mostly cast iron, kind of like with gold inlet, you know, and they used crayons sometimes. They melted them down in these pans to make molds for other pans that they made out of like, they'd smelt them in their little factories that they made in the ground when they were very tired. Yeah, that's cool.
Do you often use nuts and bolts when fastening the jiglets?
Mm-hmm. A lot of them. I generally use twice as many as the jiglets as bolts. Of bolts jiglets.
Jigaboo bright.
What kind of buttons do you use on your hats?
Well, usually the shiny ones that have the little incrustations on it, and they look cool because they're jigaboo bright.
How many dragons do you usually take when you go to the Deerfield Fair?
Like 5 or 6. If it's raining, usually 7, because, you know, the scales will get slippery and one might fall.
Good to have an extra.
Oh, always good to have an extra. Those things, they don't do well on leashes, so I usually just give them dog food before we leave, but, you know, the purplish green ones usually like cat food better, like the Meow Mix. Kind of like Marco, I think he might be a dragon, but that's a side point.
Is that why Marco lives to be so old? Because he's a dragon?
Probably. I mean, if he gets his Cool Whip mixed up in the wrong places, then he's gonna have a lot of giblets running around.
Now, do you always use frogs when you're fixing up your taxi cab?
Oh, always. I mean, sometimes Murr will just really mess it up when he goes driving around New York. But, you know, sometimes Tigger will be there, and he'll buzz around in the trunk. And, you know, unless we get a flat tire, he's usually pretty good, pretty chill. But when you get a flat tire, he's bouncing all over the place. That's not good. That's a problem.
Now, some people say you're a great collector of spoons. Now, what are the 3 compounds in that spoon in your pocket?
Mercury, Venus fleshlight, and about 2/3 Aiken oil. It's pretty sturdy though. I like it.
Nice.
$30 on Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah, works though.
How did Amazon come to be?
Oh, they found it floating in a river in a box, and this tribe guy opened up the box and said, "Hey, stuff," and then he brought it back to the ox cart and he put it in the straw. And it fertilized and became these big flowers, and those eventually began like getting sold to other colonies that had volcanoes and grasslands that were always getting torched, and then they made a website, and they called it Amazon, even though they found it on the Tigris River in like Africa.
This is a special question.
Oh boy.
We got a container of
Jimmy's BBs.
airsoft BBs. Now, how many airsoft BBs are left in that container?
Well, let's see. Now, first off, I'd just like to say, it's very interesting how David is collecting remnants of Jimmy that he finds.
Jimmy gave those to me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he just handed me, before he left, he just handed me the bottle and a bunch of other stuff.
It's very interesting the way Jimmy is handing out his BBs to everybody. It's very interesting. But there used to be 5,000 in here, it says. Right there. There used to be 5,000. And so now, it's probably about 60. Because, I mean, the bottle used to be up there. Now it's down here. So naturally I deducted the 70. So that brings it down to about 65.
Now, if you could guess how much of the pond out back, the swampy pond, could fit in that bottle.
In this bottle?
In that bottle.
The pond out back.
Yeah.
How much of it?
Yeah.
I'd say at least a third of it.
You think?
On a good day. I'd definitely, though, be able to get at least a quarter of the pond in this bottle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're also in a drought right now, so the water level's a little lower.
Oh, well then, a third, no problem. I can
Yeah.
do it 3 trips with most of this bottle, no problem.
Where would you put all that water? Like once, because you know you'd have to go back and get it, and then you have to dump it somewhere.
I would probably put it in Marco's basement, because he likes the water. He likes going in canoes.
Does Marco have a big basement?
Marco has a nice basement. He's got his little, he pretends to be a rock star on his little, on a little stage thing. And he's got a bar where he pretends to be bartender and then pretends to be the customers too. It's like playing shopping cart that we used to do when we were kids. But he can definitely fit that pond of 3 trips of this bottle in his basement. And his models and stuff would be floating adrift, like Piglet in the Eeyore expedition.
Now, out of all the Winnie the Pooh episodes, the original, the good ones, how many Pooh sticks were thrown over the bridge? Thrown by any of the characters?
Well, I mean, if you count up all the seasons, there's about 7 Pooh sticks that get actually thrown over the bridge. However, if you really pay attention to the animation, there's about like 8 of them, 8 different ones. Like the swirls are different and the knots are different. But then you look at the ones that get thrown overboard, it's like 5 or 6. Probably more like 5, because Pooh likes to wear the red t-shirt, and 5 goes with red naturally. So, 5 Pooh sticks. And where he got these Pooh sticks, I can't tell you, because that's a secret.